Stay tuned if you want to see how I got this beautiful design from an old shoe. Okay, so this is the old heel I was talking about. It was a wedge I had for like 2 years, but I just didn't want to throw it away. I'd already thrown away too many shoes. So I used this piece of dashiki cloth. You also need a tape measure, a pen or something to mark it, a scissors, and I also used a glue gun. So that's basically all I'll be using to it. So let's get to it. So for the beginning, I just cut out the kind of like the lace of the shoe, the parts to hold my leg inside the shoe. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So I cut out an inch, and it was 24 inches in length. So I just divided it in two and cut it. So like I had 24 inches in length. So when I divided, I had 12 inches in length for the lace for each side of my feet. So I'll keep it for later on. Okay, so beginning, I'm sorry my camera ran off. I couldn't record this part, but basically I just cut a rectangular piece and I placed it over it and I glued it. So when I got to the middle where there was a cut, I just used my scissors to cut, and then to just make sure it fits right, then I cut and then I glue it with my glue gun. That's basically what I did for this part of the wedge, but you see it clearer as I do it for the back. So let's just watch as I finish up with the rest. So I just, any excess that I find, I just cut it off. It actually depends on the kind of footwear you're working with. So this is what I had, and that's how I worked with it. So all done this way, then to the back. So I measured the bottom of it, and it was 4.5 inches. So I cut out 5.5 inches. That's for the length. And then I measured the width of it, and I got 3 inches. So the 3 inches, I added an extra inch, getting 4 inches. So I just marked it out on the fabric and then I cut it out. So cutting it out, I had a rectangular piece of fabric, but the shoe looks like a cut triangle. The back of the heel looks like a cut triangle. So I had to measure the top of the heel and also cut it out on the fabric. I also took out the strap. So I measured the top and it was 2.25 inch. So I just marked it out on the fabric and then traced out a cut triangle from the fabric. So I cut it out and then I ironed it. Then I placed the glue on the tip. So I ironed the base such that I don't get rough edges when I glue it. So I ironed it to get a little, and then I folded it. So then I applied the folded part to where the glue was. And basically that's it. So the top was left hanging. So for the outside of the heel, I just cut the middle a little bit just to make sure that it gets a nice curve on top there. It doesn't look messy. Then I applied my glue and then I cut it out. So I would advise that you cut the excess from the fabric before gluing this side, because it makes it easier. I didn't cut it and I had a hard time cutting out the holes for the strap later on. You're going to see how difficult it got. So I just finished up with the closing of that side. So cutting this, I even tore the fabric, but it didn't actually show. So I just glued the other side down, and this was what I was talking about. If you had already cut it and then you just folded it over, then would have been done with. But because I didn't do it, I had to struggle, and I got a little lift over here, but it didn't really show, so it didn't actually matter. Okay, so that's it for the back, and the interior was looking too messy, so I decided to do something about it. So I measured a similar strap of fabric from the piece of fabric, just like the back, and then I ironed it out just to make sure the edges are not rough. Then I applied my glue inside the heel, and then I just put the fabric inside. Make sure it's curved, otherwise if it's too thick then it becomes too tight on your feet, so just make sure it's flat and nice. And then after doing that, I actually realized that the inner part of it was shorter than the back part of it, but because I folded it over, it didn't really matter. So I just folded it and then applied my glue to it, and then I just sewed everything in. So in doing that, I realized there were a lot of rough edges, so I had to fix them with a glue gun later on. Even still later on in the video, you realize that there were some rough edges, which I fixed later on as I was working. And that's basically it for the entire wedge. I just kept filling and filling until I thought it was looking good enough. This is how it looks with the edges, so I still decided to fill it up just to make it look nicer and neater. So all done, I had to then move on to the strap. So I had 12 inches of fabric, that is 1 inch thick. So I just folded one side on it and I applied my glue and just folded the other side back on, just as you're seeing now. Fold the bottom part a little bit and then just fold the other side on it. Not any big deal. I tried sewing, but it just proved difficult turning it inside out, so I just left it this way rather. It's easier. So you see some stray pieces of fabric or some stray threads. I use a lighter to just bend those sides off. So this is how it looks after the glue was done and after I was done. So I just picked my safety pin and inserted it at one side of the strap, and then I push it through the hole. I had to use a pin to help me because it was just proving difficult because the fabric underneath was very thick. So I just used my pin to help me push it through, and voila, I just pulled it through. Easy as that. And I turned it so that the rough side faced inwards. So I just took the safety pin out after that. And then don't mind if you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to tie it so that you see what's up. So basically that was how I revamped this shoe, and it's looking way nicer. I'm going to wear it with the dashiki dress actually, so I'm hoping to rock it. But this is how it turned out in all, and I love it. Thanks for watching.